Hi there and welcome to Homesales, your next move. I'm Bradbury, CEO of the BMT Group, incorporating homesales.com.au, BMT Tax Depreciation and BMT Insurance. We've got another great show this evening with a really exciting guest expert who began his career in the industry in 1972. Since then has purchased a real estate brand which now sees hundreds of offices throughout the Australasian region. If you're an investor, buyer, or just want to keep up to date with the property scene in general, you'll find all you need to know on this show. Here's what we have on the show tonight. Tara Bradbury rounds up the country's property news. I'll chat with Charles Tarbey, the pinnacle of property experts. We will present the next tool in our home sales buyer toolkit, the renovation calculator. Let's get started and cross to Tara for the latest news.
Thanks, Brad. Did you know that an increasing number of property investors are looking to secure their next loan through a mortgage broker as they seek alternative finance solutions amid the tighter lending policies? According to the Property Investment Professionals of Australia most recent survey, 86% of property investors intended to secure their next loan through a mortgage broker, up from 83% in previous surveys. The survey also found that despite out-of-cycle rate hikes, fewer investors said they would consider fixing their interest rate. However, 27% of respondents said that they would consider refinancing their loan for a minimal interest rate. There was a significant drop in auction numbers across the combined capital cities this weekend, with the total of 889 auctions held. The lower activity is a result of several states having long weekend, as well as both the AFL and NRL grand finals taking place. And now to our latest story. Borrowers planning to take advantage of their superannuation to borrow and purchase a property might be out of luck, as a list of banks now refusing to lend to self-managed super funds continues to grow. The latest one to call it quits is AMP, which announced that the self-managed super fund loan product, Super Edge Loan, will be discontinued on the 20th of October 2018. Other banking heavyweights, Commonwealth Bank and Westpac, have already ended self-managed super fund lending due to at least part of the scrutiny from the Royal Commission. Well, that's all from me, Brad. Thanks for tuning in to the latest property news, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week.
Another great week of interesting property news. Thanks, Tara, for your update. And now to my guest expert for this week, Charles Tarbey, the esteemed chairman of Century 21 Australasia and author of 2 real estate books, The Profit-Driven Real Estate and Listing Rich. I chatted to him last week. Let's see what he had to say. Thanks for joining us today, Charles. 47 years and first house sold at 18 years old. So
that's correct. And bought at this, as well, yes.
Combined real estate was the start of your journey, and built a group of offices and then bought the rights of Century 21 Australasia. BMT have had a long relationship with of 15 odd years.
Very long, and same with the new brand, the secondary brand, Bradbury Homes and Gardens Real Estate, an international brand being launched in February too, which will be working obviously with BMT.
Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Charles?
Well, it's a lifestyle brand, whereas C21 is an advice brand. It's been there a long time. It's been helping buyers and sellers for many, many years do what's necessary to get people into or get people to sell their properties happily. And Better Homes and Gardens is a branch off the magazine, the TV show, which has got a very, very rich history in this country. So it's a lifestyle real estate brand that's going out into the marketplace, again, assisting buyers and sellers, not just through the transaction, but in many other ways as well.
Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about real estate markets, and we've seen bricks and slaughter, and there's lots of talk of major crashes in property. You've been around for a little while in this real estate industry. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts.
I don't think people have seen a crash if they think what we're going through right now is a crash. It's got a long way to go for that to occur. I mean, we're talking going back into the 70s and 80s, especially when in the Whitlam era, where it was a credit squeeze and you couldn't borrow money for a refrigerator, let alone getting home loans today at 4 or 5%. When people were struggling back then to pay 17 and 18%. And I think it's those sorts of marketplaces that can bring about a crash. Our banks and our Reserve Bank as well and APRA have learned how to manage the economy a lot better than they did in those days. And so I think our gradual change in the marketplace will see us have a soft landing, which we're having, and it's something we should have had. The interest rate should not have occurred. The interest rate drop for the real estate market should not have occurred 2 years ago. That spurred the market on beyond where it should have gone.
So Charles, what are your thoughts on, I guess, the future and some of pricing or pricing at the moment, and if we could even drill into some of the states on what you're seeing happening in the current market?
We've been talking about this for a long time, not just in the last few months when everybody else has. This is a conversation we started having 2 years ago when those interest rates jumped because people went and bought beyond what they should have. And if you look at price changes occurring, I believe they'll settle back to where they should have been or where they were 2 years ago. And that's, to me, where they'll start to rebuild again. Perth is already rebuilding because it had a massive, massive change. I think Brisbane is going to have some issues, not in the housing market, but in the unit market, because there's an influx of apartments coming on. But then again, that goes into benefiting other groups of buyers, because there's always a cycle, as you know, and each group benefits from different cycles. And where it comes to affordability in housing, that's been a big, big issue. It's starting to become less of an issue because prices are coming down while people's salaries are increasing.
And we tend to, around this country, operate in these cycles, and sometimes they're driven. And when you talk about Brisbane there, I think there's a fair bit of apartment stock, I guess, especially in the Fortitude Valley and Brisbane city areas, that becomes a little bit more affordable in times like this, and some of those first home buyers that might have more of an opportunity to get into that market.
Look, developers can't reduce their price. If they reduce their contract price, it's going to impact on their total valuation. So they're offering all sorts of incentives for people to come in, and I think that's going to be the benefit, a big benefit for those buyers.
Always looking at times that there's good opportunities to buy. We tend to overbuild in this country in areas, and then we oversupply it for a period of time, and as an investor I think it's always good to look at the areas that may grow into the future instead of following where it goes crazy, everybody keeps buying, pushing the prices hard.
Look, and the problem with that is that the governments intervene, and they intervene at the wrong time, and their intervention, for instance, with affordability, etc., it's no longer becoming an issue. And by the time they set their processes up, if they just let the cycle go through its normal phase, it would fix itself. If you talk about negative gearing, for instance, being removed, Labor government talking about that, look at all of the people who have invested, and we're talking about people who couldn't buy where they wanted to live, so they bought somewhere else, and they've got their negative gearing going while they're trying to get some sort of capital growth so that they can come back into the city areas. So I don't think that a lot of the governments think these things through very, very carefully, and they impact for a very long time, but generally the impact occurs at the wrong time.
Yeah, and look, we've seen that in the depreciation rule changes that come about in last year's federal budget. I spent some time seeing the way that these rules are changed that affect property investors. It wasn't just depreciation, it was other affordability issues around deductions they allow and don't allow, and I think the intervention sometimes needs a little bit more thought on long term and letting those markets move. I tend to agree with you, Charles. Now, the banks obviously having some impact on the way they're changing. We touched on the banks, but the rules are changing quite substantially around the ability for people to borrow money at the moment. Are you seeing that a problem with settlements?
Equity is no longer king. So whereas you and I might have been able to borrow against our equity, it doesn't exist anymore. Even people with long-term relationships with their bankers, as you and I have, you still are now going through almost as though you're a new customer again. So the banks have changed the rules substantially. They're looking at all of the issues that have come up through the Royal Commission, which has had a massive impact on what we're doing. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to impact, unless they fix it very, very soon, it's going to impact very, very strongly on not just the industry, the real estate industry, but every industry associated with it. There are suburbs where banks are not lending in, and there are suburbs where they've increased the loan value ratio from a 10%, 20% to as much as 30% in some suburbs. You need as a deposit before you can buy in there.
Talk to us a bit about the changes in technology and how you think that will, I guess, impact consumers in the future, and the things that you think might change a little bit?
It hasn't impacted as much as people were saying it was going to. If you believe what they were saying 10 years ago, real estate agents wouldn't exist today, and that would make a lot of people happy. But nonetheless, the thing that I've noticed the biggest change between now and say 40 years ago is the way we deliver our message. So 40 years ago, we might have delivered it through a letter in a folding machine and out in the post. And today it'll be, a broadcast of some sort, electronic broadcast of some sort to our clients, or ways of our clients being kept up to date without anybody having to do anything. I still think that the most successful real estate practitioners are the ones that talk, contact to contact, person to person, belly to belly, face to face. They're the ones that I feel will always have a significant impact on the industry. And I still think that a lot of people still need somebody to help them make a decision. And they're frightened of making such a massive decision as buying a home online, let alone buying a product of some sort that you might see advertised late at night. They still struggle pushing the button when the dollar sign come up.
Yeah, I'm not the most of internet buyer, but well, just about all the properties I've bought in the past, the agents played an integral role in helping me to see that property, and we need to go and have a look a lot of the time. And
technology is delivering a smoother process.
Absolutely. Well, Charles, it's been great to chat today. You're a wealth of knowledge, having been around for so long, and it's been great to have a relationship with you guys for the last 15 odd years, and it's been very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
When you're looking to buy a property, there's a lot to consider. PropCalc, the new tool from homesales.com.au, can help. This one-of-a-kind research tool allows you to input purchase costs as well as ongoing expenses, so you can accurately calculate how much it will cost to own your property. Plus, you can upload photos and notes about multiple properties and compare property results to make an informed purchase decision. All this information moves seamlessly from your desktop to the app, so you have all the information you need on the go. Use homesales.com.au and our one-of-a-kind tool PropCalc to access the most comprehensive property data on the market. homesales.com.au, your next move.
If you're looking to invest in property, take care. There's no regulation in the property investment space, which means that anyone can call themselves a property investment advisor and help you to buy what could be the worst investment of your life. If the advisor you're talking to also happens to be able to sell you a property or introduce you to someone who can, I suggest you walk away. It's simply not possible to be independent when you're acting for both the investor and the seller. Destiny is an independent property advisor who can help you to build a sound and profitable portfolio of properties, no matter where you live, and we work exclusively for you.
To find out more, go to destiny.com.au and click on What We Offer, or call us on 1300 My Destiny.
Destiny, helping Australian property investors for more than 23 years.
Over the past weeks, we've been looking at the tools that the Homesales site has to offer. And this week, I'd like to take a look at the Reno Calculator. This great tool gives you an estimate of the cost to complete a renovation on a property you might be interested in, using BMT's experience in construction costing to generate the figures. The Renovation Calculator will calculate the cost to renovate a specific property that you're viewing on the Homesales site in 3 easy steps. Select your renovation project, select your project area, and enter the size of the renovation. You can choose renovation projects such as painting, kitchen, bathroom replacement, tiling, concrete work, fencing and flooring, and change the standard of your project from budget to standard to high standard. Make sure you keep visiting the Homesales website as we continue to develop more and more tools for you as a property buyer. We've been around for a long time now, and we know the property industry like no other. Well, that's a wrap for this evening. We've covered off on some great topics, not just tonight, but throughout all of our episodes, which are available for streaming at any time. You'll be able to catch me every week for the latest Homesales, Your Next Move episode. Meanwhile, have a great week, and if you're about to buy a property, good luck on the property investment journey.